This company is the only one certified by Homer, an OG in the flatland freestyle game. They did more bits than Borderlands 4 and even dropped some banging frames to boot. This is Odyssey's Flatware. What up people, Derek here with Bendy Tubes, and that's right, we've got Odyssey, we've got Flatware in the cooker for today, and shout out to Odyssey. 40th anniversary, y'all. This is epic, so go grab some gear, go grab some 40th anniversary bits like this stem, and support this Flatland BMX icon. So when I did the bikeography of Terry Adams, I realized I was like 90% of the way done with Flatware, so I was just gonna jump in and do that next. Then I remembered Odyssey actually started Flatware, and that's a whole nother thing. So before we talk about spoons and forks, let's talk about the trip to get there. There isn't much that's really specific about the origin of Odyssey. I looked several places and somebody said this about this, but the best I can recollect, according to a blurb from Jim Bauer back in 2009, back in 1985, the original owner, who is the brother of the current owner, Richard, saw the name on the side of a truck, Odyssey. He liked it, and legend has it is that they created the logo in black and white. They gave it to his kid to color, and that logo is what we now call retro. Aaron Ross said this, it's his favorite. According to Jim Bauer, again, a lot of hearsay on the origin of Odyssey. So that's the start of it, and I'm gonna break my own rule a little bit. I don't really talk about bits, but Odyssey is really a bit and not frame company only. So to talk Odyssey, we gotta talk bits. So I'm gonna try and hit the high notes on innovation and products over the years. In 1985, we got Odyssey, and they hit the parking lot rolling with seat posts, clamps, brakes, hardware, slick cables, pads, levers, stuff like that. In 1986, one of the most groundbreaking bits of kit for BMX freestyle was created by Odyssey, the gyro. Designed by Brian Skura, I cannot stress enough how important this one part is. This thing's monumental. Were people doing tricks before gyros? Oh yeah, for sure. Maybe one of their most iconic and most prolific parts, but the journey did not stop there. In 1987, they made the rad fork standards and these really crazy flying wedge bars. And if you're digging this vibe by any chance, check out the Tech Bike Co. bars out and available now. Can y'all smell the nostalgia of these bars? Love them. So cool. In 1988, they dropped the Pitbull brakes that broke the stronghold that the caliper brake had on the freestyle industry at the time, pun intended. Now we're gonna skip some years. They didn't have a ton of stuff flying between 89 and 99, but that's when the heat-treated hammer dropped when Odyssey released their first batch of 41 thermal heat-treated chromoly bits. Development took a good 2 years, people, starting in 1997, but that post-weld heat treating created an ultra strong fork that was backed by a lifetime guarantee. From forks, they went to bars and cranks and seat posts and eventually landed on heat treating frames too. This was revolutionary. This was not a gimmick. Real science, real rad, real good job, Odyssey. And there was a Flatland fork set to boot with 0 offset of that 41 thermal first batch. Now there are so many Midschool Flatland bits that Odyssey did, iconic ones, so I'm just gonna rattle them off in no real order and with minimal detail. I'm sorry, but we're just gonna go for it. Handlebars, the Barrio bars, some OG gusseted 4-piece heat-treated bars that were Midschool AF. The 44 bars, 8 inches tall, 4-piece flatland bars that I always wanted. Never got my hands on a pair of them. The 4-piece bar mitzvahs that were some shorties. Had them, loved them. The two-piece bar mitzvahs were a thing too. I didn't even know about those. For brakes, we got the Odyssey Evo 1 and 2 990 brakes that were rock solid, and the 1x4 and 2x4 pads specifically designed for those mega Midschool trends of triple wall rims. Y'all remember the Alex triple walls with some 2x4s, right? That's like 10 pounds of rim alone. Cranks, we had the Black Widow, aimed at junior racers but used by Flatland Fuels. Again, had them, loved them. Hopefully I'm showing a picture of them. And the Twombolts, a two-piece crank set that were ahead of their time, that included a proprietary axle drive with a hexagonal socket way back in 08. Free coasters, we got the Odyssey Hazard Free Coaster, a 90 freaking pound bulletproof 48 hole 14 millimeter 14 tooth cog having free coaster. I just strained so much I farted a little. I should also note that there was a Hazard front hub with 4 freaking bearings. Can you talk about monster trucking? 4 bearings, not 2, 4. Gyros, they made their first one and eventually made sealed versions like the Odyssey Gyro GTX and GTX-S. Pedals, Odyssey Twisted PC pedals are a thing. Maybe not the most Flatland friendly pedals, but they were rad. I rode a pair for a bit. Also, shout out to the shin manglers, the triple traps. Talk about savage. Now let's get to pegs. Odyssey did a ton of pegs. Cheapies like these threaded little guys. Old school ones like these black and red anodized neural stripe jobs. Or you got the OG Midschool ones like the Bigfoot and the Strong Island that had that magical 2-inch diameter. Removable neural rings, you could run them back or front and not hit the fork. Rims, the Odyssey Hazard born the Odyssey Hazard Light that are still legit and still a staple in the industry today, not to mention the 7K, 7KA, so many rims. Seats, y'all already know. The creme de la creme of Flatland seats, the Odyssey 99er, designed to be gripped 99 different ways. Why hasn't this come back in a pivotal guise is beyond me. I've never had one. I don't even think I've touched one. So that's an icon and a bummer for me. Also, the Odyssey Junior and Senior Flatland seats were fine. They worked. I had one. They were tiny and out of the way. Stems, one of the coolest stems ever made. The Odyssey Elementary was award-winning. 1 bolt, 4 wedge, super gnar bit of magic. That thing creaked more than your grandma's stairs, but I loved it. The Odyssey Lincoln was another innovative stem which used little linkages instead of 2 bolts. Another ultra innovative stem that could crush handlebar grip tubes, like could legit crush them. Tires in 1996, they dropped the Dave Smith signature Bermuda Triangle. Why Bermuda? It had little triangles on it. In 01, we got the Odyssey Elm Street, which wasn't really a Flatland tire, but it created my love for 1.85 tire size, wraparound tread design, awesome, awesome tire. And the iconic Frequency G. The Chase Gwynn signature based on the ALLL Edge was an in you go Flatland tire that is still laying down rubber today. Y'all remember the light version of this? Like they had this K-Light Kevlar bead 1.85. Come on, bring it back, Odyssey, please. And then there's grips and pads and hats and shirts and gear and all the accoutrements of a proper BMX company. Now, y'all, Odyssey was fully committed to Flatland and freestyle product development. It's in their roots, it's in their blood, it's in their ness. Now, before we jump into the second phase of this video, in 04, Odyssey dropped the video, Odyssey Video. And this was a banger of a mix of street and park, and more importantly, Flatlands. Chase Gwynn, Marty Cuopa, iconic to this day. Chase's part is insane, so many whiplash variations on both the individual brace and the Gwynn Nothing frames. Marty's part, crazy. Kickflip, crossfoot, everything, rocking the KGB Psychonecta. Link if you want to learn about those bikes. Here. So that's 04. Marty drops from Odyssey in 06, and that brings us to 2008. Odyssey still had Chase on the team, but they added Terry Adams as well. With these two on the team and the timing feeling right, being like peak Midschool, Odyssey actually set out to make a Flatland specific brand, and that's when we got Flatware. We got tons of bits, the Bayou bars from Terry Adams, the Chase Gwen bars, both 4-piece, different sizes and specs, 41 thermal, heat treated. We got a minimal offset front load stem and a whole suite of forks, with or without brake lugs, with 3 offsets, 0 minimal, and a whopping 28mm offset for Chase G to do all those whiplash combinations. And we can't forget the 160mm Flatland specific Flatware twom bolts and their Rhode Island sprocket, rocking that nonagonal 9-sided sprocket and spindle socket interface. Gosh, that's a lot of words. In 2010, we get the thumbtack grips designed by Chase. In 2010, Matthias Dandewa joins the Flatware team. Also in 2010, we get a Flatware Vandero 2 front hub with narrower flanges to keep them spokes away from our digits. That's innovation right there, people. We get the cufflink grips designed by Terry Adams. The first frame was the Waltz, developed in close conjunction with Terry Adams, aka signature frame, bent down tube, clean lines. Remember that 41 thermal heat treating I mentioned? 41 thermal heat treated frame, internal headset, back brakes, gusset, 18.9 top tube, 75-degree head tube angle. This bike had a ton of cool little details I've mentioned in Terry Adams' biography. Chainstay gusset stamp, seat stay cover stamp. Love Easter eggs like this. Side note, at this point, Flatland was big enough, and like I think this was the peak of Flatland. It was big enough to have Flatland bike toys. I missed this in previous videos, but yep, there was one of the Flatware Waltz. Awesome. This brings us to 2012, and we get the second version of the Waltz. This time, the typical new school fashion, straight down tube, but maintain the same dims, still heat treated, still clean, crisp, new school vibe on point. At the same time, to match the traditional look of the Waltz, we got the Hobby Bars, a 2-piece bar named after Terry Adams' favorite spot to ride, Hobby Lobby in Hammond, Louisiana. There was also a second frame that dropped, the Tango, a 19.5-inch top tube having a bit of hardware with the same trappings as the Waltz, back brakes, heat treated, good looking, all of the above. And like I said, lifetime warranty if you're riding Flatland on that thing. That's freaking awesome. JF, of all people, as I was researching this, JF joined the Flatware team, was riding the Waltz too. You can follow the whole life of Flatware, linked below for all the antics of the Midschool Flatland team. And I want to point out, y'all, these dudes were winning a lot. Chase and Terry and Matthias and JF, like podiums were on the regs. Small but mighty team for sure. And folks, that wraps up Flatware, but Odyssey is still at it. Y'all already know cranks and forks and gyros and brakes and rims and free coasters and seats, plus some rad 40th anniversary splatter paint, dope, 5-panel hat, wicked threads. Good job, Odyssey. Shout out to Kevin's build, who's got those 40th anniversary splatter rims looking real good. Final side note, Odyssey still doesn't really build frames under the Odyssey name, but they sure do help Sunday and G-Sport and Fairdale and BSD out a lot under full factory distribution, which is the parent company that helps out all those little underlaying things. Sunday is even rocking 41 thermal heat treating processes on their frames, so sharing technology. Yo, Odyssey, great work. Keep it up. Happy 40th anniversary, y'all. Derek, Bendy Tubes, be well, friends. Framin' bangs. The hell was that? All sorts of off. Get it down more. Come on!